We are not opposed to regeneration of 300 acres at the Maze, but we are most assuredly opposed to the glorification of terrorism at the Maze. These buildings will become the focal point for Provo revisionism. When they rewrite history, they will become the focal point for pilgrimage, for physical force republicanism. Or is Peter Robinson wrong today when he tells us it will be a mecca for tourism? It'll be a mecca, all right, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be a mecca for terrorists. The same architect who designed the memorial at the Twin Towers. I've got a very simple, poignant question for him. He came here this week. Let me quote you what he said. His design will give voice to all associated with the past use of the site. That, ladies and gentlemen, inescapably includes the IRA hunger strikers. And I've one pertinent question for Mr. Libersky. When you designed the Ground Zero Memorial, did you include Al-Qaeda? Because they were most certainly associated with the Twin Towers. No, of course you didn't.
The terrorist shrine at the Maze. Can I also say I welcome what Nelson McCausland and the Reverend William McRae have said in the past. They don't support a shrine. They don't support a conflict resolution centre. But can I say we do need a peace centre in Northern Ireland. But it's not for those terrorists, and it's not for those people that murdered our loved ones in this province. A peace centre should be for people like Michelle Williamson and many other people in this community. Many other people in this community who have given the ultimate sacrifice, and their loved ones have given the ultimate sacrifice. And let me tell you folks, nobody will remove my Britishness, nobody will remove me from here, but I say two things. No Brits out and flatten what's in there.
This needs to be the first step against fighting Sinn Féin's efforts to rewrite history and legitimise their cause. If they legitimise violent republicanism and forget the past, then it's my generation that's condemned to repeat it. With centres like this here that become a breeding ground for militant republicanism, how can you expect anything less than conflict? And what Peter Robinson's forgetting up in the hill is, it's young lads like me that end up fighting it. We end up in the holes in the ground, or injured, or in jails. And a few times.
This is just wrong, and I can't understand how any right-minded thinking person, as in Peter Robinson, can agree with this. So what should be done with the maze? Simple, or simples, flatten it! And instead of remembering this place where the terrorists were held, let us remember the innocent victims that they created. The innocent victims, the terrorists. Who deserves a shrine in Northern Ireland? The innocent victims. Thank you.
But the one thing that has struck me about Willie Fraser is, Willie Fraser will never ever surrender. He will never. Willie Fraser has done his absolute best to represent the families of those who were butchered by the people who were in here, and who are now on the verge of being remembered by a party, a Stormont that is fit for the truck, never mind fit for government. But 18 million of this £18 million of this money is coming from the European Union. Now the European Union's own criteria, and I have it wrote down, but it's too long to explain, but in basic terms it says if their money going into the Northern Ireland peace process, as they call it, has the potential to cause division and does not have general acceptance across both the communities, it can't be spent on any project like that. Now, do we support this? No! Well, if we don't support it, we have petitions made out tonight to the European Commission, and Jim Allister, I'm sure, will keep us well advised on that we can send out. There's at least 500 or 600 people here tonight. If every man took one and got 4 or 5 of those done and photocopied and done, that way we can put pressure on the European Commission. All is not lost. We have the ability to fight. In 1912, whenever all these home rulers were saying, look boys, you never beat the government, take home rule, we stood our ground and we beat them and we made Ulster, and we're not going to give her up. Thank you very much.
Respectability and history have one thing in common. They're written by the winners. And respectability and history feed off each other. What is allowed to stand as history becomes a respectability in a society. Now, this new Northern Ireland that we are talked about, this new Northern Ireland that we are told is being moved forward, it seems to me that it rests on silence. There are certain questions we are not supposed to ask. We are not supposed to ask if our Deputy First Minister was the Deputy Commander of the IRA in 1972. Is he not complicit in the Claudy bombing? We are not supposed to ask why we in Northern Ireland are the only people in Western Europe who, if we wish to protest about any government policy, have to seek permission from a government-appointed quango. Now, we are not supposed to ask what is the purpose of the retention of the hospital block in the Maze prison. We're not supposed to ask. We have been told it's not going to be a shrine. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Robinson, no building, no location anywhere in the world is preserved or maintained unless it satisfies one or both of 2 criteria. Either it contains some unique architectural feature, or it is associated with persons or events that are deemed worthy of historical commemoration. Now, the hospital block in the Maze, is it to be compared to the Pantheon in Rome? Is it to be compared to Belfast City Hall, which is acknowledged as the finest example of neoclassical architecture anywhere in the world? Well, I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, the hospital block in the Maze is simply another... yes, it could be a toilet. It's quite simply a nondescript building. It represents nothing worthy in architectural terms of being preserved. So therefore, the only reason that it is being preserved, the only reason that the money will be spent to maintain it, is because it is associated with something historical. We know, Mr. Robinson, what historical events the prison block in the Maze, we know what people are associated with it. Now, you tell us it's not going to be a shrine. Well, Mr. Robinson, no building that is preserved because it is of historical interest is anything other than used to honour the events or the people that are associated with it.
They'll think, we'll come here, we'll gather, we'll roar and shout, and we'll go home and forget about it. They don't know us too well. We're not the Never Never men. We're the Ulster men. A simple question. Who asked to keep the hospital wing? This was arranged by a few individuals quickly. I want to assure them, the people who told me, Willie, a few years ago, we can't let them keep this place, it's going to be a shrine. The Lagan Valley MP. Willie, we can't let them keep this place because it's going to be a shrine. The leader of the UUP. What are they saying now? It's not going to be a shrine. Because we're getting very well paid. It was the killers who made it part of the agreement that the hospital wing would have to be kept or there'd be no peace. That's right. Why? I'll tell you one thing, I've spoken to the 9/11 people for a number of years, and I'll tell you what, there'd have been nothing till Al-Qaeda in the 9/11 that he was involved in. So how does he think he can come over to Ulster? The people who built America, the frontiers who cleared the road in America, well, we'll clear the road here if we have to as well, with the DE. This is only the start, folks. Thanks very much for coming and safe home.